Today should be a national holiday. It is Mel Kiper Jr.'s first mock draft of the season. It is available right now for you on ESPN.com. He's got 4 quarterbacks going in the top 10, including, look at that, he has C.J. Stroud, the first one off the board, the quarterback from Ohio State who played so well in that loss to Georgia in the semifinal, then Bryce Young, then Will Levis, and he has Anthony Richardson in the top 10. Those are all the things to be watching as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, and you see the rest of the order on the screen. And there he is, the man who invented the draft. Mel Kiper is with us here. So, Mel, because I do this with you, I've been looking at absolutely everyone's work here. You're the first person I've seen that has C.J. Stroud, the first of the quarterbacks coming off the board. Why?
Well, it changed up a bit. You talk to 12 teams, you get maybe a ton of different opinions. You know, you can't get a consensus, Greeny. And I think when you look at it, who was the most consistent over the last 2 years? Granted, he had a lot of help around him. It was pitch and catch in a lot of games. But when it wasn't pitch and catch, the Georgia game, as you mentioned, Greeny, he showed with his legs what he could do, how he could see the field when he was flushed out of the pocket, his consistency from game to game. Now, the Northwestern game, the wind, the rain, throw that out. But I think the fact of the matter is his size, the way he throws accurately to all levels. That Georgia game in particular stood out, the way he could move around and beat a defense with his legs when he needed to. C.J. Stroud could end up being the first quarterback off the board, certainly in Mach 1.0. I want to shake it up a bit. If you got 3 that are equal, you're getting all these opinions. I put Stroud as the top quarterback coming off the board.
Yeah, because you've got 3 guys. You got him and you've got Will Levis, and then let's get to Bryce Young, because Bryce Young, obviously, everyone knows him, obviously, from Alabama and the Heisman and everything else. But the size is really the question here. How do teams view their concerns about the fact that he's just much smaller than your prototypical NFL quarterback?
Greeny, he's going to have to be an outlier, bottom line. I mean, I talked to a lot of teams. They say, we love Bryce Young. We wish he was, forget the height. The height doesn't matter. It's the 185, 190, the weight. Can he withstand punishment at the pro level? We've never had this in the top part of the first round. A quarterback, 5'10 to 5'11, 190 pounds. Great quarterback. Phenomenal. He does everything you want. Now, he doesn't have the big-time arm. He doesn't have the 4.5 speed. But Bryce Young would be, I think, the #1 pick overall, maybe even to the Chicago Bears, even though they have Justin Fields, if he were bigger. Bryce Young's size is a huge factor working against him.
I mean, he weighs what I weigh, and I'm sitting next to Chris Canty, whose job it was once upon a time to run after quarterbacks and hit them. And let's put it this way: if Chris Canty hit me, I would stay hit. So I don't feel real good about that. You just mentioned the Bears and Fields, and you've heard, people suggesting, wondering aloud, do they consider restarting their clock from a contract standpoint, trade away Fields and take a quarterback #1? What are your thoughts?
I would not. I'm a big Justin Fields guy. I was when he came out. I have #2 to Trevor Lawrence in that draft on the ratings board. Justin Fields made a lot of progress. We saw what he could do as a multi-dimensional quarterback, that dual-threat quarterback. Help him out, though. Like Kimberly was talking about, hey, help the quarterback. Well, get him some weapons. The O-line, keep developing that. And get a D lineman to help that defense. That can help the quarterback as well. Their defensive line is a big problem. Jalen Carter is a disruptor along the interior. That's what quarterbacks hate. Will Anderson Jr., Alabama, was not as dominant this year as he was in 2021. He doesn't have the bend off the edge of a Myles Garrett or a Von Miller. That's why I went with Jalen Carter #1. The quarterbacks, Greeny, are all mysteries. We don't know. I think Will Levis is QB1. That's me. Others disagree. But I think at the end of the day, you take the quarterback you've seen at the pro level develop. Why would you go away from Justin Fields to take quarterbacks who are all coming into the NFL without a consensus as to who the #1 quarterback really is?
Yeah, I see it the same way you do. We'll see what Chicago decides to do. And, Mel, I will see you along the way as we get ready for Kansas City at the end of April. Again, Mel's Mach 1.0 available right now. Meanwhile, on ESPN Plus available right now, our Jeremy Fowler released a piece in which he polled NFL executives, and he asked them to make a variety of bold predictions about various quarterbacks and where they may wind up. So we go from the rookies, we don't know anything about them, to these guys. We know everything about them. And look at these predictions. They're predicting Tom Brady as a Raider, Lamar Jackson as a Falcon, Derek Carr as a Texan, Aaron Rodgers as a Colt. I'll pretend I didn't see that one. And let me circle back, D. Wood. I'm looking. Look at D. Wood. Look at D. Wood. Look. Are you staring at the Lamar one? What are you staring at?
Yeah, I'm zeroed in on that. Lamar. It's like I can't even imagine a world with Lamar Jackson out of Baltimore and going to the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah.
Like, how many times have we talked about Lamar is the system when it comes to Baltimore? And would the Baltimore Ravens be willing to deal away the system to another team? Like, it's just crazy.
To be fair, they were asking for bold predictions. So it's not that they're saying it's likely, but I do think it's possible. And I think it's possible because it's not about Lamar and the Ravens. It's about continuing the precedent that was set by Deshaun Watson. So I think it's ridiculous for them to blow up their team because they don't want to pay Lamar $1 more than the last guy. But I think that it's not as ridiculous if the entire league is behind Steve Bisciotti, like, you better not do that again. You better not, because if you capitulate, then every other quarterback from this point forward is going to be like, they did it for Lamar. They did it for Deshaun Watson. You better do it for me. And they should.
As they should.
So what do you think? I mean, do you look? I see an easy way why this happens. To the point you just made,
it's like that's what makes
he wants what he wants. They're not going to give him what he wants, and in the end, he's not going to play on the franchise tag. So I believe there's a really good chance he winds up somewhere else.
No, I just think that do I see something? Could I see something like that happening? Absolutely, because of what you just said. I'm just saying, like, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore is just...
It's jarring.
Yeah,
it's jarring to see
It's
it.
like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together.
It's jarring to see the idea of him going somewhere else, but I think it's very real.
Well, we just saw Russell Wilson go to the Denver Broncos. We saw Tom Brady go to the Bucs. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially now that we're talking about Aaron Rodgers potentially, who knows, whatever he wants to do, going somewhere else. The shame of it is that in my mind, every quarterback should be doing what Lamar is doing, because the system will never change until all these guys, we got Joe Burrow, we got Justin Herbert, like all these guys coming up, they deserve to get this kind of money. Right. And if you were in that position, you would say $230 is my start, is my offer. You know, that's what I'm going for.
If there's any position that can do it, it is
That's
the quarterbacks, because they're closer to ownership than they are the other 52 guys in the locker room. And the thing I'll say about Lamar in Atlanta, something about that just feels right.
Something about this black quarterback.
Something about that feels right. And the other part about this is this: we can't discount how Lamar feels about how Eric DeCosta has handled this. Eric DeCosta negotiated like he Nino Brown from New Jack City, saying it's not personal, it's just business, B. But Lamar Jackson clearly is taking this very personal if you look at it on his social media tweets. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it just feels like even if Baltimore comes to the table with the money that Lamar is looking for, he might have already made his decision about wanting to get out of Baltimore.
Because it's always business.
I have to leave this here for a minute, but let me just check with D. Wood. Can we come back to this?
By all means.
I'm coming back to this. Okay, but I just want to make sure.
But not before Dallas.
No, Dallas first. We got more to say on all of it, but wait, are you aware of history being made right before